input tax credit purchase is a category B purchase. Category B. Okay, start with. Now, for ITC, for availing ITC, you need to remember for 22-23, for the condition to avail credit. What are the condition? Under section 16, subsection 2, the first, you should have tax invoice. Second, you must have received goods or services. Third, your supplier must have paid taxes. Be careful. Section 16, subsection 2, clause C, your supplier must have paid taxes. Fourth, you as a recipient or buyer regularly filing GST return under section 39, 3B. Fifth condition is important. Got notified from 1st January 2022. Whatever credit availed by you in 3B must match with GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B. Fifth condition. And sixth condition, whatever credit auto-populated in 2B should not be restricted under section 38. And there are 6 restrictions specified under section 38, but rules are yet to come. So at least to that extent you can relieved. But 5 conditions you must ensure is being satisfied. So when I'm talking about 22-23, let me start with, so that you can understand everything. Importance of section 16, subsection 2, clause B. First, receipt of goods or services. And you must answer in question answers tab. I'm going to ask you those queries. I'm your supplier. I have raised the invoice on 25th of September. Let's assume 25th of September 2022. Let's assume. I filed my one for September 22. It is auto-populated for you in your 2B for September 22. But you received the goods on 5th October. My simple question to all of you. Can you avail credit in September even though auto-populated in 2B but goods received in October? So you have to answer whether credit in September or credit in October. Please tell me. Question answers tab. Section 16, subsection 2, clause B clearly saying credit is available when you receive goods or services. So even though auto-populated in 2B, credit would be available only in the month of October. Hope this part is clear to all of you. Second part. Section 16, subsection 2, clause C. Your supplier must have paid taxes. Your supplier. So there may be a transaction that Bimal as your supplier has raised the invoice for 10 lakh. Let's say on 1st May 2022. And you are a very good guy, recipient, buyer. You paid the amount to me. You paid the amount to me, to the supplier. And supplier did not deposit with the government exchequer even after collecting the tax. My first question, can you avail credit? Can you avail credit, buyer? Section 16, subsection 2, clause C clearly saying condition, your supplier must have paid taxes. A lot of notices and judgments started coming in now. You must have heard of a Patna High Court judgment in the case of Astha Enterprises. And it is clearly being stated that credit is not available if your supplier has not paid the taxes. We have prepared many other videos on this topic, so I'm not deliberating much. You can go back to my YouTube channel and watch this video a little later. But that is what the Patna High Court judgment. Pre-GST, we know a lot of judgment in our favor. Supreme Court judgment, KK Industries Limited. Under that, we got all favorable judgment, including Delhi High Court judgment, Arise India, except Bombay High Court judgment, Mahacotton Lakshmi case. Even in GST, we got Madras High Court judgment, DY Bethel Enterprises. That department can't demand reversal from the buyer, from the recipient. For the fault of supplier of non-payment of taxes, department must initiate action against the defaulting supplier. But this Asta Enterprises Patna High Court judgment, its first ever judgment coming in GST saying credit is not available. So you have to go back and cross-check. You have to take your 2A and 2B and you have to check the status of 3B filed by your supplier in your 2A. If taxes are not being paid, then this may be one of the transactions you need to be careful about. But let me tell you the one best. Rule 37A. Listen very carefully. It is very, very important for all of you. You must pay attention. Rule 37A, introduced from 26th of December 2022. Very interesting. Let me take the same example which I gave to you, that Bimal Jain, being your supplier, raised the invoice on 1st May 2022 pertaining to 22-23. You have paid the amount to the supplier, 10 lakh plus tax. Your supplier did not deposit. So what you would be doing? As per Rule 37A, and before I touch Rule 37A, you must go back, pick up your 2A and 2B, check the status of your supplier, filed or not filed from GST or 2A. But what is Rule 37A is saying? Listen that part very carefully. And this is important date for all of you who are watching this webinar today. Rule 37A is saying, Bimal, the credit which you have availed on the invoice raised on 1st May 2022 is available to you only if your supplier must pay this tax by 30th September 2023. 30th September 2023 through GSTR 3B. If the supplier does not pay till 30th September 2023, then you as a buyer, recipient, need to reverse this credit through 3B by 30th November 2023. Interest going to be levied if you have not reversed by 30th November 2023. But my take is interest leviable only when this credit may be alleged as wrongly availed. But if not utilized, to my mind, interest is not leviable. You can re-avail this credit as and when paid by your supplier. So let's say supplier paying in April 24. So whatever you have reversed by 30th November 23, which is paid by supplier in April 24, you can re-avail the credit. But interest, if paid, is a cost. For re-availment, question to all of you: whether any time limit provision applicable, time limit under section 16 subsection 4 applicable? Let me clarify to all of you. Time limit provision of section 16 subsection 4 is not applicable when you look at re-availment. re-availment, not applicable. So you will get the credit as and when paid by the supplier. So section 16 subsection 2 clause C read with section 41 subsection 2 read with rule 37A I have explained to all of you. Hope you will take care along with the jurisprudence which is evolving. Next point, time limit to avail credit under section 16 subsection 4. It is the earliest of due date. Earlier, it was due date furnishing return for September under section 39 GSTR 3B following the end of relevant financial year or date of furnishing annual return. Now the due date of furnishing September month 3B following the end of relevant financial year is being done away with. It is now 30th November. 30th November. I hope you're listening. Or date of furnishing annual return, whichever is earlier. This part is clear to all of you. Now let me give you the background, the dispute and confusion all about. The two judgments back to back, only on this time limit. And I'm not discussing those judgments in detail. You can always go back to my YouTube channel and watch those videos which is available. AP High Court judgment in the case of Thirumalakunda Plywood and Patna High Court judgment in the case of Govinda Construction clearly stated time limit as specified under section 16 subsection 4 is constitutionally valid and it is being held, it is not violative of Article 14, Article 19(1)(g), Article 300 capital A. There was confusion that section 16 subsection 2 start with a non-obstante clause, notwithstanding anything contained in this section. So it was assumed that section 16 subsection 2 overriding section 16 subsection 4, it is being also held that section 16 subsection 2 and subsection 4 are in different context. So it is not overriding. You have to be careful about this time limit, and for my submission that when you talk about credit is vested right, it becomes vested only when we satisfy the condition on date of availment. Otherwise, it's a concession or only benefit extended subject to fulfillment of condition. So unless we satisfy the condition, it does not vested with me, and we can't argue Article 300 capital A. We have to be careful about time limit 30th November. Now here one practical problem, and listen very carefully. And this is a very good time period when we are doing this webinar for getting more clarity. Listen very carefully. You are a buyer, recipient. I am your supplier, right? Though the time limit is 30th November, but you have to be very, very clear that your supplier who are monthly filer of GSTR 1, so October month, October 2023, return going to be filed by 11th of November 23, which will get auto-populated for recipient on 14th November 2023. If someone under QRMP and following invoice furnishing facility, then time period is 13th November for the October period. Gets auto-populated on 14th November. I'm asking one question to all of you. What happens if your monthly supplier for October 23 GSTR 1 did not file, let's say don't file by 11th of November. He filed on 15th of November. My first question, is it going to be auto-populated in your 2B? When you look at your 2B on 14th of November? No. It is only on 14 December 2023. So what happened? Time limit is 30th November 23. Can you avail credit? It is not coming in your 2B. As per me, you need to cross-check. It is auto-populated in 2B, and 2B is one of the condition from 1st January 2022. So you have to go back to all the supplier. You have to make sure all your supplier file October 23 return on time. Please, first part, on time. When I'm saying so, let me add another component to it. Let's say if your supplier has done any mistake in the past for 22-23. What kind of mistake? B2B supply wrongly shown as a B2C. It's not auto-populated in 2A, 2B. Or wrongly mentioning a GST number, not getting auto-populated. It was interstate supply but wrongly furnished as an intra-state. It is showing but ineligible. Supplier paid the taxes through 3B but did not file 1. It is not coming in your 2A, 2B. Then if it is not coming in 2B, then credit would be denied. If your supplier has made any mistake, then time period, please wake up call. And that is the reason I am explaining to all of you. And this October month return, GSTR 1 going to be important one. Important one. So this webinar at the right time, right period. Any kind of rectification for any omission or error by the supplier, which I have explained like B2B as a B2C, wrongly GST number, or wrongly furnishing inter or vice versa, or he did not file 1. The time period prescribed under section 37 for any rectification of omission or error is 30th November following the end of relevant financial year. But you need to ask your supplier and make sure that he is correcting such omission or error in GSTR 1 of October only, so that the correct transaction gets auto-populated. He is filing his October 23 return correctly for all such mistakes or omission by 11th November if he is a monthly filer, or through invoice furnishing facility, then 13th November, and gets auto-populated in your 2B on 14th November. Then credit would be available to you. If he is not correcting, rectification is not being done on time as I stated, then what happened? Time period gone. You have to be careful about. Hope this part is clear to all of you. Can I see thumbs up on this point that you understood it? Can I see thumbs up so that I can proceed accordingly, that you got my point? Can you say that this part is clear to all of you? So lots of thumbs up. Thank you very much. So this is giving positive vibration that you all are clear about. Thank you very much. Be careful. Now coming back, other compliances for ITC, input tax credit. Rule 37, second proviso of section 16 subsection 2. If recipient fails to pay value plus tax to the supplier within 180 days from date of invoice, this provision you need to go back in your books of accounts. You need to cross-check. You need to prepare that summary that whether you have paid within 180 days. Though otherwise under MSME Act criteria of 45 days, you have to be careful about. If you don't pay within 180 days as per GST law, then recipient need to reverse credit along with interest. And for interest, my answer to all of you would be, it is leviable. Yes, I do agree. that it can be released, wrongly availed credit. But if not utilized, then no interest. Provisions say along with interest. And whenever you pay, you can re-avail the credit, and re-availment, there is no time limit condition under section 16 subsection 4. So you have to cross-check and verify. Please, you have to be careful about. And you know that in GST 3B, government has issued advisory, that GSTN has issued advisory, and they have said you have to correctly show your transaction. What is getting auto-populated in table 4A, table 4A5 from 2B, right? Credit from import of goods, import of services, all other reverse charge, credit from ISD, then 4A5, that credit auto-populated from 2B. Then table 4B has got two sub-table. 4B1, you need to show your credit which is not eligible, 17.5, or you need to reverse Rule 42 and Rule 43, the common credit pertaining to input services for Rule 42, and capital goods, Rule 43 for exempted supply. And then any other credit like Rule 38, which is not available, and rule that table 4B2 is talking about that some credit which you are reversing but you can reclaim. Like I discussed Rule 37, I discussed section 16 subsection 2 clause B, that goods invoice in September but received in October. That table 4B2 is the appropriate one, and that is what the disclosure government want, that we must show in our GST 3B. So you have to be careful. Then coming back to Rule 42 and Rule 43, I'm giving you one simple formula to all of you. Simple formula. Hope you will remember this formula for ITC. You should create three bucket for credit. Your ITC pertaining to taxable supplies, you should take 100% credit. So any GST ITC which is pertaining to taxable supply, you must take 100% credit kept out. ITC which is exclusively for exempted supply, and exempt supplies means which is exempted by way of notification, like 2/2017 for goods, 12/2017 for services, or chargeable to nil rate, or non-taxable supplies. If ITC pertaining to exempted supply, you should not take any credit. So second bucket, you are not availing any credit, because those are related, directly related to exempted supply. Then whatever left out is the common ITC, common input tax credit. Here pro rata reversal is required to the extent of exempt supplies. Rule 42 talks about reversal for input and input services. Rule 43 talks about reversal on capital goods, pro rata to the proportion of exempted supply divided by total turnover. By the way, let me ask one question. Let me check how many of you know this answer. When you need to reverse as per Rule 42 and Rule 43 because of exempted supply pro rata, what is the time period you should have reversed pertaining to 22-23? Let's say we are talking about closure of 22-23. By when you should have reversed? It is 31st March, 1st April, 30th June, or 25th September 23, or 30th September 23, or 30th November 23. What is date in your mind? You should have done by 31st March 2023. That is what the rule talking about. Means 1st April 2023. when we are talking about financial year 22-23. So you have to be very, very careful about. So this is on Rule 42 and Rule 43. Now, having said that, you have to go back and check your books credit versus 2B versus 3B, so that you are getting prepared yourself for 9 and 9C, right? There may be a case you find some credit you have wrongly availed, which was not available to you. You have wrongly availed. What you should do? You should reverse immediately. Why you should reverse immediately? For the reason, if it is not utilized, then you are safeguarded. No interest leviable for reversal of wrongly availed credit but not utilized. Section 50 subsection 3 read with retrospective date July 1, 2017. So any credit from 17-18 till date, if you find that wrongly availed but not utilized, you may suo motu reverse the same and no interest leviable. If it is utilized, then interest leviable. And what is the rate of interest? 18% or 24%? 18 or 24? 18%. 18% per annum. When I'm talking about 9 and 9C, let me give a clarity to each one of you. If your aggregate turnover up to 2 crore for financial year 22-23, then you are exempted. No GST 9 need not required. It is only applicable when your aggregate turnover is more than 2 crore. If your aggregate turnover up to 5 crore for 22-23, then no 9C, self-certified reconciliation statement not required. It is only applicable when it is exceeding 5 crore for 22-23. Hope this part is clear.